Hey, welcome to the film room. The purpose of this video is to give you We're going to start with a very basic concept that almost everybody uses to some extent, and it's called being in a gap. It's the concept of help defense, and if you were to draw a line between the ball handler and your man, it's being somewhere on that line in help defense. The next universal concept is called closing out. This happens when your man does not have the ball and the ball is passed to him, and you can close out with two hands or you can do it with one. This first closeout, you'll see it's done with two hands, and the next closeout that you're gonna see, the defender closes out with one. When the offense does a dribble handoff, one of the ways to handle this without switching is to do a let through. The guy guarding the ball will back up and let his teammate through so that there's no separation. In transition, when a defender is guarding the trailer who's not in the picture yet, he can come over and help stop the ball, and that action is called cupping. Another way to help your teammate out is called stunting. You'll see that on the catch, this defender comes over and swipes at the ball to make the offensive player hesitate, and then he recovers as his teammate gets back to his matchup. You can also do this on dribble penetration, as you saw right there by number 20. And a variation to stunting is called raking. This is when you will fully commit to try and steal the ball from the ball handler, typically done with two hands. Another aggressive strategy is called denying. This is when you are going to try and take your matchup out of the possession by not letting him touch it. No matter where he goes, it is a full out denial. And these next few clips are crucial when it comes to getting stops. This is an example of contesting the shot, leaving the ground and extending either one or two hands to try and impact the shooter. And another way to contest the shot around the basket is called walling up. This is where you'll leave the ground and stay inside of what's called your cylinder to make it difficult on the offensive player to score over the top of you. This is not trying to block the shot, it's just trying to impede their vision and make it tough for them to score without fouling. This can be done jumping or staying on the ground, as you see right here. Then you have one of the most impactful plays on the defensive end where you sacrifice your body and take a charge. And the last thing that needs to be done in a defensive possession that's arguably the most important is boxing out. Now this is taught several different ways, but ultimately boxing out is going and making contact with your matchup before pursuing the rebound. And now we'll move on to ball screen coverages and the different types that there are. The first is very rare, and it's called lock and under or stick and under. This is where the defender guarding the screener will lock to his man, allowing the ball handler's defender to get underneath the screen. A more common strategy would be switching the ball screen. This is where the two defenders that are in the ball screen are just going to switch matchups. The coverage that has the most options would be what I call contain. There are several different names for this coverage, but the concept is the big defender is going to contain the dribbler as the on-ball defender recovers and gets back in front, and then everybody gets back to their matchup. A similar strategy that's more aggressive would be called hard hedging. This is where the big defender is going to slide up and hedge the ball screen as the guard gets back to his matchup. And the most aggressive coverage is called blitzing. This is where the big defender will hedge, but then he will stay and trap, and the two players will smother the ball trying to get a steal or force a bad pass out. And the most nuanced ball screen coverage is called icing or downing. This is where the on-ball defender will not let the ball handler use the screen, but force him to the sideline, and the screener's defender will come over and help either aggressively or unaggressively as the ball is forced away from the screen. Now in several of these coverages, there's a thing called tagging. You'll see that as the ball handler comes off, the screener's defender has to help on the ball. That means that the roll man is open for a split second. So the corner defender must come over and tag the roll man while the big recovers. So now let's look at all these things working together. There is a side ball screen where the defense is in contain coverage. On the backside, you have two defenders who are in gap coverage, and the top defender is going to stunt at the basketball as the ball handler gets downhill. And then on the backside, you see the tag man coming over and helping, and he ends up getting a steal. So now let's talk about screens off the ball. With the exception of switching, there are two ways that you can guard a down screen. The first one we'll look at is called chasing. This is where the defender will follow his man around the down screen to get back in front. and the other option is called shooting the gap. Instead of following your matchup, you will shoot the gap in between the screener and your defender and meet them on the other side. Now this next concept is more advanced. It's called Xing out. Number 4 on offense is going to set a screen and then receive a down screen. What they're going to do defensively is the backside defender is going to chase number 4 off of the down screen, and number 4's original matchup will X out or switch. Here's another example of this concept where the offensive player comes off of a back screen. You can see this low defender saying, I'm going to X out or switch, you take my man, and it results in a steal. Now, a concept that is usually taught by most coaches is called baseline rotation. When an offensive player drives a closeout and goes baseline, the typical rotation is the opposite defender will rotate over and help, and then the elbow defender will sink and take his man, and then there's one defender left who's responsible for 2. Now this rotation won't be perfect every time, but the most important part is what's called helping the helper. You'll see here that the defender under the rim is going to rotate over and help on dribble penetration, and Zion Williamson is going to go and help the helper, and he ends up getting the defensive rebound. Now when it comes to post defense, there's a concept called digging. This is the exact same thing as stunting on the can get to that sweet spot and score. You'll see a great example of multiple digs from this St. Mary's defender. This is the more conservative route, but another route that you can go is what's called firing. This is when you are going to all out attack the basketball and double team it, similar to the blitz that we saw when talking about ball screen coverage. Now if you do decide to fire, you're going to be one defender down because you have 2 on the ball, which means you will have to full rotate. And what that means is everybody takes the next man over to get matched back up. Please know that the terms that I used in this video are what